Aha, it's working. Got a few gremlins in tonight. Could get on live. I've just tried a couple of times and it just would not work. But anyway, finally we are here. We are live. So we're talking all about meditation and the process of meditation, and probably why a lot of people struggle to meditate and why people struggle to get into it. So that's what this live is going to be about. And I'm just going to give it a few minutes for people to connect and jump on. Again, this is totally impromptu. I haven't done a live for quite a few weeks now, so it'd be interesting to see who comes on. If anyone, if nobody joins, I'll just talk and I'll just ramble on anyway. But yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media, on websites, on YouTube about different videos about meditation, getting deeper into meditation, understanding what meditation actually is. And initially, I was going to go on my school app. I did organize a meditation on there for any members, and I've advertised it across social media for totally free, for no cost whatsoever, to come on and learn about meditation. And has anybody joined? No, they haven't. So I thought, well, you know what? I'll just jump on here and do a live on here. Will anybody join? Who knows? I really don't know. But hey ho, that's irrelevant. Somebody might watch it in the future. So everything happens for a reason at the end of the day. And so, yeah, so meditation is a wonderful practice which I was introduced to meditation in my late 20s, mid to late 20s. And it was something that sort of just ended up in my pathway, really, through a journey of trying to discover myself, discover who I am, deal with mental health, deal with addiction, deal with depression, anxiety, panic attacks, all that sort of stuff. And I was already on three different types of medication, and I was just merely existing. So somebody got in touch with me and asked about if I'd ever tried meditation, and I hadn't, so this is something that I had never done before. So I've been meditating for around about 20 plus 20-ish years now. So I've got quite a really good feel of meditation and of how it can benefit us. So that kind of like um, gives me a little bit knowledge of how we can help ourselves to appreciate meditation on a little bit of deeper level, and also to introduce people to meditation that have maybe heard of it, not really sure what it is, maybe they've tried it and they just can't get into it because they're always trying to stop the thought, which is not what meditation is about. And that sometimes confuses people because they always thought, well, I thought meditation was about stopping a thought. Well, no, it's not about stopping a thought. It's about almost being like the conscious observer of the thought. So the thought is external to you, which all thoughts are. Thoughts and emotions are always external to you because they're just coming out of like the mind. They're just being created, and it's a replay and a recreation of patterns and structure, programming, all the trauma and stuff that we've been carrying throughout life, and it's just replaying within us. And the more we start to unwind that with practice such as meditation, such as mindfulness, such as Reiki, and other spiritual practices that help us basically connect deeper to ourselves, then that helps us kind of like unwind and unwire that continuous programming, that continuous voice, the loop in the back of the head that always goes into fear, fight or flight, worry, anger. It all goes into the egoic system of what we've built up as kind of like a fail-safe protection system, but in actual fact, it's not doing anything other than holding us in stasis. And currently I'm going through something at the minute where that's what I'm like at the minute. I'm kind of like in a little bit of a limbo because of something that's happened recently. Well, a few events that have happened recently, and have kind of like shocked me a little bit and put me a little bit back over on my progression, on my journey. But it's on one hand, it's quite horrible to deal with. It's quite awful to deal with. But on the other hand, it's also reminding me that I've still got a lot of work to do. I'm not I'm no different to anybody else. And I'm still discovering parts of me which I thought were healed and worked on some level. And so I need to go a little bit deeper with my practice. So I've got a few people that have joined on. Um, so meditation, basically, what is it? So it's a practice that helps us to relax and calm the mind. And as we go deeper in our journey with meditation, we tend to want to go, we tend to want to get more from it. So it's okay, we've relaxed the mind, we've calmed the body, we've regulated the nervous system, but then there's almost like there's an inner calling to go deeper usually. And so in meditation, there's three phases to go into in meditation. So there is your relaxation stage, where you're basically focusing on your breathing. You're focusing on maybe a candle flame. You're focusing on maybe just the gentle sounds that are around you, the ticking clock, whatever it might be, just to help you relax. But usually the main focal point is the breath for a lot of meditation, because that's the first point that we will always become aware of, and it helps us to anchor ourselves and it deepens our awareness into us. So the first stage is the relaxation, or also known as dharana in the yogic um, traditions of meditation. So this we've got this relaxation, so we're relaxing the mind. So sometimes this is the first place a lot of people struggle with meditation, is because they think they need to go straight into it. And that's not how meditation really works, and it's not how the brain and the mind work until you become better at it. And even now, practicing 20 years later myself, I still have days where I can't get into it. And for me, I just don't force it. I don't push it. I just think, okay, it's not working at the minute. I'll try again a bit later, and I'll do something else, or I'll just get on with my day or whatever. And I might do a meditation later that day, or I might not. I might do some Reiki on myself instead. So don't beat yourself up about it, and don't think that as soon as you start the meditation, and it's like, right, okay, we're in. So it's a process, and it takes time. So for some people, that relaxation process, depending on how experienced you are, it can range from 3 to 5 minutes to 10 to 15 minutes. It really depends on the individual and where your mental state is at. So if you're all over the place, and if, like I was, and if you're quite new to meditation, when I first started meditating, for me it was just a few minutes I could manage, and then I was back out of it, and then I would have to go back in again, and then I was back out after a few more minutes. But those few minutes were very, very powerful and very empowering for me. So it's a process, and it takes time, and it depends on where your mindset is and how scattered you might be. Then again, that might be something that you'll need to work on. So again, don't knock yourself, don't force yourself, don't get upset with yourself or frustrated with yourself because you can't get straight into it. That is part of the learning curve of meditation. So the more we get upset and frustrated and annoyed with the process of not being able to get straight in and into that nice, relaxed Zen type state, then that is basically teaching us to just say, you know what, just let it go. Try again later, try again another day. Don't worry about it. So just let go of the expectation, and let go of the frustration, because all that's going to do is just create more tension and more stress internally. So we're getting into the relaxation stages. Again, it varies depending on where you are within your practice. So like I said, just then for me, it was like a few minutes. I would be so far in to getting to relax, then I'll be back out. So I would repeat that process over and over and over again a few times until I started to feel more relaxed. And then as you develop, you go a little bit deeper with that. So you get into the nice relaxed stage. So maybe after about, let's say, 5 minutes, you're feeling a little bit more relaxed. And then what starts to happen for a lot of people is, once you start to relax, then the mind starts to kick in, and the mind will start conjuring thoughts up because it's not used to being relaxed. It's not used to being still. So this is where a lot of people, again, fall off and lose track of their meditation practice, because they become frustrated with the thought and they think, oh, here's a thought coming in, I need to stop it. Here's another thought coming in, I need to stop that. Here's another thought coming in, I need to stop that. And before you know it, you're like that. Do you remember that story that we often got told at school, where there was the boy in the dam and he had to plug the holes in the dam with his fingers and his toes to try and stop all this water come through? Eventually, you're going to run out of fingers and toes and you won't be able to stop it, and they will just keep flooding in. So this is part of your learning process with meditation, is just to let it go and just let the thoughts go past, let them move past, and just be the observer and just think, oh, that's a thought about that. Oh, that's a thought about that. And as soon as you kind of like acknowledge them, but don't engage with them, they will naturally pass by. So we've gone through the relaxation, the thoughts start coming up. Now you need to go a little bit more deeper. So you're going more into your concentration, into the meditation. So when you're going into the concentration here, you're in this nice centered state internally, you're following your breathing, you're nicely relaxed. And the concentration aspect is basically just being aware of everything that is going on, the thoughts, the breath, the awareness, maybe using the elements of mindfulness to really focus and deepen where you are. So we've got dharana, which is the first stage, which is the relaxation. Now we've got dhyana, which is the other yogic term, which is for the concentration aspect of meditation. So that concentration, again, it sounds as though we're having to really focus on the meditation, but in actual fact, we're not really focusing on anything as such other than just being. So you're just breathing, you're just following your breath, you're nice and relaxed, and you're letting that relaxation just deepen you and take you into a nice deeper place of awareness, where you become more aware of your thoughts, so you can just observe them and allow them to pass by. You become more aware of how you're feeling internally, more relaxed, more centered. You become more aware that your breathing has become more relaxed and not as deep, and it's more gentle. You become more aware of breathing into your belly, which is helping you to relax even deeper into that parasympathetic stage of your nervous system, which helps you to relax even deeper. So we've had dharana, that's your relaxation. We've got dhyana, which is your concentration, which is just focusing as best as you can on just being still, being present, just breathing, and not really concentrating on something specific. It's just being. It's just being within your nature. And then we've got the third stage, which is the actual meditation itself. So we've gone through the two stages. We've gone through the relaxation, and then we're focusing and concentrating on the breath, the body, the stillness, the quietness, observing the thoughts, allowing them to come and go. And then you're going deeper into that stage of meditation. And each stage that you go through. So, like I say, the first stage where we talked about the relaxation, like I mentioned, that is kind of that can vary from person to person depending on their experiences and how long they've been meditating for. But like I said, even me, sometimes after meditating for 20 years, I still struggle sometimes where I just can't get into it and it just doesn't happen. So I just think, okay, I'll let that go. I'll try it again later, or maybe try again tomorrow. No pressure. It is what it is. So with this beginning stage of this relaxation, so it can take, say, anything from 3 minutes to 15 minutes, depending on the person and where they are mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. Then we're going into kind of like the focus, the concentration part of the meditation, the dhyana. And again, this can go from anywhere from 5 minutes to maybe 15, 20, 25 minutes, depending on how long the practitioner's been doing it for. And then we've got the last stage, which is the actual meditation and the absorption and the connection to your awareness, your deeper awareness. And this is the meditation. This is in the yogic tradition known as samadhi, or as I just call it, just the actual meditation itself. And this is where you're really kind of consciously connecting deeper on a deeper level. And so when I say those words, different things can conjure up in people's minds straight away. So when they think of going on a deeper level, various people try to think of this as going deeper. Maybe they're going deeper within. They're going deeper within the being, in the essence, in the soul, which is an aspect of it. Maybe people think that they need to go deeper into the mind, which kind of like you kind of like almost slightly disconnected from the mind because you're not as consciously aware of thoughts, even though every now and again thoughts will happen and thoughts will come up because it's the mind, it's what it's doing. But as you continue your practice, that will become less, it'll become less frequent, and it'll become less of a disturbance for your meditation as well. But that element of consciousness as well, I think sometimes think of people going sort of externally beyond. But there's many levels to us that we're going into meditation, and you've got many different realms within your energy and within your energy body. And we talk about these a lot on this channel, and things like your chakra system, your energy system, your various dimensions within of your level of consciousness. So when you are meditating, and maybe if maybe you're very early on in your meditation practice and you're very much in fight and flight, very much in the sympathetic nervous system, maybe anxious, dealing with things that are going on, and you just can't get that sort of like calmness straight away, and it takes some work, it takes some time, which I totally understand, and I was there at that point. And that again is kind of like, it's the level of depth that you will go to. So it'll be quite shallow in terms of, I'm trying to sort of explain it in terms of depth, but really it's the internal system, the internal energy that we're going into. So if you think of something like the scale of consciousness, where you've got the red, and again it follows the colors of the chakra system. You've got the red going into the orange, going to the yellow, going to the green, the light blue, so going red for root, working up the body, light blue for the throat, royal blue for the third eye, purple for the crown. That's your scale of consciousness. So wherever you're at within your energy body and within your journey of meditation is where you're working within that level of your energy. So the way to evolve beyond the physical stuff, beyond the physical connection and the mind, the everyday chatter that goes on, the way that we evolve beyond that with meditation is to evolve past kind of like your solar plexus. So your physical, so your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus is all to do with your physical identity. Once you start evolving beyond that, energetically going into the heart space, so you're going into the frequency of love, you're going more into compassion. So maybe doing some heart-centered meditation to really connect on that frequency of love. And that will help automatically to raise your vibration. So if I do this, it's because I've got a little bit of a stomach issue at the minute. The reason why I've got a stomach issue is because I've got emotional stuff that I'm trying to deal with at the minute, with a lot of stuff that's happened recently to me, with not like conflict as such, but there's just been I'm kind of like cutting cords with certain things and people and situations, and it's sort of triggered a little bit of my ego, within. So that's what I was talking about earlier on, that I'm having to deal with some stuff. So my energy has kind of like come down back into my physical reality. So it's brought me back into solar plexus, into the stomach area. So at the minute, I'm getting a lot of um, stomach issues like acid reflux and what have you, which I know is directly connected from the energy of what I'm dealing with. Um, and I'm not going to share it on here because it's kind of like it's personal stuff, really. But yeah, so that's how the energy works. So when we're in meditation, we're connecting to the energy body within by going deeper within the self and consciously going deeper within the self. And the deeper we go within the self, we actually find the aspect of the divine that is within us, the spiritual center, our soul. And from there, we can actually speak to the higher self. You can speak to your spiritual team, if you want to call them that. You can speak to your spirit guides, which is all an aspect of you. It's all an aspect of your higher self, and your energy and your soul. Elemental cartomancy. Hello, Chris. I'm doing very well, thank you. Not so bad. I've got a few things on the go at the minute, which is kind of like annoying me and what have you, that I've had going up lately, which is why I'm sort of like having these sort of stomach reactions and what have you. But it's all to do with the emotional energy that I'm kind of like trying to release and work through at the minute. But yeah, other than that, I'm not too bad. How are you? How are you doing? You've been very, very busy with your tarot stuff, young man. I've noticed on Instagram. You've been doing a lot of spiritual fairs, spiritual shows, tarot reads, things like that for people. So good on you. It's good that you're doing more of that. Because I think you kind of like you went off the boil with it a little bit, didn't you? Didn't you sort of like pull back a little bit from the tarot stuff? I can't remember. Maybe. Um, so yeah. So basically, that's the whole. Those 3 points, those 3 stages that I was talking about with regards to meditation, those 3 points are usually the sticking points on your journey. So we've got the relaxation stage, which is what I mentioned time wise of how long it can take. Then we've got the actual focusing and the meditation and trying to go that little bit deeper into the self. And then you go deeper into the meditation, which is connecting you to an even deeper level, really, a deeper level of consciousness within the self. And when you start to access that deeper level of consciousness within, you can start to actually listen and tune into your energy body, and your energy body will be giving you information, will be giving you messages. And that's why I know what is going on with my stomach at the minute. That is why I know that's what it is, because every time something comes up to trigger me and affect my ego on some level, my stomach starts up, and it's I get these sort of acid reflux reactions. And the last time I did a lot of work around this was probably a year or two ago, where I was having repeated bouts of acid reflux, and that's when I sat and I talked to my body, and my body told me what it was, and then I dealt with it and it released it and let it go. And now I've got this. It's just trying to deal with it. Uh, Sorry to hear about the stomach issues. I'm doing all right, thanks. There've been a couple of fairs I read at, and you have two next weekend, so you're going to be drained. Yeah, that's a good point. Do you just do them on weekends? Because I know the tarot work can be quite tiring, especially if you're making like a psychic connection to somebody as well. When you're tuning into their energy, it can be a little bit draining. So, what's your way of rebalancing and coming back to yourself? Really, it might be interesting for other people to know about this. To do with tarot, because I cover a lot of sort of stuff like that on here as well. Oh, you got one on Halloween as well, right? Okay, but usually just the weekends. Hmm, interesting. I've done a little bit more tarot work myself recently. just like quick little like personal reads or collective reads, and I've just been putting them on TikTok or here on YouTube, just in the shorts, just to sort of like dip my toes back in a little bit, I suppose. So yeah, so that's kind of it really about meditation, and I hope what I've said makes makes sense. And yeah, if it doesn't, then comment on the video, or drop me an email if you want me to give you some more kind of clarity or validation. That's at the minute that's the best way I can kind of try to explain it. And for me, I try to explain things as simply as possible, and I try to break things down so they're easily understandable for because sometimes you'll watch videos of people talking about meditation, and a lot of the time I think a lot of this is just going to go straight over people's heads, and they just won't get it, um, unless you've been doing it for some time, and then you kind of understand it. So that's why I like to try and break it down a little bit, because everybody's different and everybody's got their own way of learning. And but I like to try and keep things as simple, as ground based, and as down to earth as possible to understand. So your way of dealing with tarot, if you do too many, you normally allow yourself plenty of rest around about them. Um, you think it helps that you only do them every month or couple of months, yeah, spacing them out. If you did one every weekend, it would be get you'd get overwhelmed. Yeah, I think you probably would get overwhelmed. I do like going to spiritual fairs, but I must say the spiritual fairs that I've been to, there's people that have been there that have been doing readings, mediumship readings, selling crystals, all that sort of stuff. So the energy in the room, when you first walk in, the energy in the room is electric. It's like, oh yes, this is why I do this stuff. It feels amazing. But when you're in it for half an hour, just looking around the stalls, you start to actually feel drained from it all. And usually, if I go to spiritual fairs, by the time I come home, I'm absolutely knackered. But then also, I don't sleep very well in the night because the energy is still it's still buzzing around me. And also, I think sometimes when people are doing readings, they're not closing down properly, and they're not closing off properly from one client to another. So you've got all this energy that's kind of like swirling around, and people are picking it up. And yeah, it might feel like really high vibrational uplifting, but it's bloody tiring and it's bloody draining when you're in it all the time. So yeah, so you and I think sometimes I think people think that when you're doing tarot, that basically you're just reading the cards, and some people do that. Some people do just read the cards for the face value of the cards. But when you start actually getting a little bit deeper with your practice, and you're actually trying to connect to the client on an intuitive, empathic, psychic level on some way, again, that could be quite draining, especially depending on the sitter that you're reading for as well. I mean, I don't know if you found this. So I mean, if Chris, if somebody's maybe maybe they're a little bit lost and they want to find some validation in life, so you can kind of like pick up on that a little bit. Sorry, I'm yawning. I've had a really long day. Well, I've not really had a long day, but I'm just really tired because of all this crap I'm dealing with at the minute. Um, but yeah, you can feel it, and you can feel a little bit out of whack, and you can feel a little bit tired with it. Do you get that as well, Chris? Do you feel a little bit tired after maybe so many, if you're doing like a full weekend of readings or whatever, or if somebody's been quite emotionally all over the place, up and down? What's your take on that? I suppose it depends on your own boundaries as a reader as well. I tend to have a lot of boundaries up these days, so I don't. I don't get as deep or as psychically connected to people as I used to. I have a little bit of a psychic protection up, and I have a little bit of a wall up. Um, and again, that's why I'm dealing with this stuff now, because I thought the the person that has done something, which, like I say, I'm not going into details with, um, but I felt, you know, like I could trust them, and there was a level of trust there. So on some level, my boundary had come down a little bit, and that's why now I'm having to deal with this kind of energetic shift and this egoic stuff that's going on internally. But yeah, I hope people kind of got what I was on about in talking about the meditation. Hi, Leon. I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Just had a bit of stuff just testing me lately. But I was just talking to a friend of mine earlier, who I've had on this channel before, Patrick. You might remember him. And I was saying at the minute, there's a chaotic energy about, a really, really chaotic energy. And we're feeling it internally within ourselves, but we're also seeing it externally. So that chaos, it's evident in all of us. We're all going through some level of chaos. There's some level of breakdown. There's some level of where, people are moving, people are relocating, people are a lot of people that I know personally and through other people that have passed away suddenly, as well. So there's a lot of strange, chaotic energy going on at the minute. And then we've got all this stuff in the UK to do with, the asylum seekers, all the flags going up, this tribal energy between, the British, the patriotic British people, which they're not really patriots at all. They're just there to, I think, again, it's just a level of ego that's coming up within people, but that's part of the ascension. It's part of the awakening, on some level. But they won't be able to see that probably. So I'm having a green tea and lemon because I thought it'd be quite soothing for my stomach. I try and help it settle a little bit. So, with all that being said, has anyone got any questions? There's only a couple of people in currently, but there has been 4, 5, 6, 7 and gone back down. Leon, you've been doing your sigils in Hebrew and Aramaic, and they've been helping you. Unfolding. Energy signatures in the land, negative and unhealed. Yeah. It's a lot of this kind of programming and dark stuff that's been implanted and put into people's psyches, this programming, this conditioning over generations upon generations. And yeah, I mean, when you think about it on an evolutionary scale, the programming and the conditioning, it's probably only been happening through the 1900s, because of all the wars and this, that, and the other. And then before that, the level of consciousness was very, very low. But as we all awaken and as we all ascend and become more in tune with the energy of the earth, with the energy of each other, with the energy of the collective, with the energy of the universe, as we all start to ascend and become more in tune with that, then we feel it. So the more meditation, the more healing, the more practice work that we do, then you become more in tune with it, which some people might think, God, I don't want to be in tune with that. Leave it alone, but it's a good thing to be aware of it, because then you can almost see what's going to be happening, moving forward. It expands your awareness. It really, really does. Do you have anything coming up, Ian? Do I have anything? What with regards to courses? I've got some courses coming up. I've got another level 1 Reiki level 1 course in September. I've got a Reiki share in October, and I've got a Reiki level 2 in October. I'd like to try and get another Reiki master teacher in this year before the year's out, and that'll help funds a little bit, help pay for Christmas and what have you as well. So I might try and maybe do that in October, November-ish, possibly. I've also started a school, on the app School, SKOOL. I've started one of them, so I've got a free school community which you can join. And it's basically, I've just started it off, so I'm just wanting to educate people more about Reiki, about like the Reiki principles, the meanings behind them, the deeper philosophical stuff behind the Reiki principles, but also to help people with anxiety, and give them ways of being able to deal with anxiety. So that's why I've created school, and obviously that's why I'm more focused now on this channel on TikTok to give people advice and tips about how to deal with different things in everyday life when you are struggling with maybe mental health or anxiety or stress related anxiety, because it's rife within everybody. But I think that's because as we become more sensitive in our energy, then it churns stuff up, so we do become more anxious, I suppose, in some way. Yeah, Reiki share in October. If you're interested, it's £5 to attend. It's 7 till 9 p.m. on the Sunday, the 5th. So if you're interested, do let me know. But you'll have to check, because I know where you're traveling from. You'll have to check for train times and things. It might be a bit awkward for you. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I've really got coming up at the minute. I did. Kielder was amazing. Kielder was absolutely gorgeous. It was really, really was. It was stunning. The cottage was amazing. It was so quiet. We were like a stone's throw away from the reservoir, from Kielder water itself. So every morning waking up just to see that out your dining room window, it was just heaven. I could easily live there, easily. And I've been doing a lot of visualization around that to try and get me there. So yeah, that would be really nice. But yeah, it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful, much needed. The rest, and also again, another boundary that I'd set was only to do an hour's admin work a day if I needed to, and I stuck to that. Probably did less, to be fair, than an hour's admin work, because I never got no one got in touch to book anything, so it was fine. I was just doing video and content stuff really. So yeah, it was all good. So yeah, no, it's good. So it's good to be back. It's good to do a live. I haven't done a live for a long time. I really need to try and get back into doing lives. But at the minute, I'm trying to just keep my consistency with videos, with shorts on here. And obviously it can be quite tiring at times. The chavs have been setting fire to a hill that you sometimes meditate on. Ugh. Assholes, aren't they? They really are. I know where I walk the dogs on a morning, someone's pushed this big concrete flower pot up over, and it's all smashed and the flowers have gone everywhere. And I just think, well, what's the point? Why? But again, it's this unsettled energy. It's this chaotic energy that's shifting through to clear another level of clearing from within. So we've just got to just go with it and just say, all right, whatever, and just surrender. Just let it pass. It will. So anyway, I need to head off. Yeah, exactly. Don't give them your energy. It's not worth it. So I'm going to head off. Thanks for joining me for this quick impromptu live. Discuss meditation and what have you, the various stages of meditation. And then we had a little bit of a chat at the end with people that were on the live. But it's lovely to chat. It's lovely to connect. We'll try and do it again a little bit more often. But until next time, I'll see you in another video very, very soon. Do take care and keep an eye out on the channel. And I'll see you all soon. Toodaloo for now. Bye-bye.